Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really wild chapter from Zhufeng's 36 Bagua arrays, and honestly, it completely blew my mind. If you're into Eastern philosophy or even just human psychology, this is going to profoundly challenge how you look at your own mind, your emotions, and literally your fundamental sense of self. We're talking about the idea that the very thing you think brings you your greatest joys and deepest pains, it might actually just be an elaborate trap.
So to kick things off, we really have to ask a seemingly simple question. What exactly is your heart? And why is it causing you so much pain? We use these phrases all the time, right? We'll say things like, oh, our hearts are perfectly in tune, or we describe someone who's totally given up by saying their heart is like dead ashes. The text points out that we constantly equate our vitality, our absolute essence as human beings, with this thing we call a heart. But really, what is this thing? And where does it actually live?
Well, we immediately run into this stark contrast. On the one hand, you've got the literal physical organ beating inside your chest, right? It's a biological pump existing totally in the physical realm. Nobody's debating that exists. But then we have the conceptual heart. And this is that abstract idea we tie to our personality, our soul, our deepest emotions. The source material argues that we completely conflate the two. We mistakenly believe that this conceptual heart is a tangible, real thing that somehow dictates our true self. We literally treat it as if it's just as real as that physical pump. So here is the absolutely crucial point. According to the text, this conceptual heart, it fundamentally does not exist. We do not actually possess it. Instead, what we casually call the heart is merely an 8-trigram array. Now, in this philosophical context, an array is basically a highly complex, energetic labyrinth. It's a trap. We are hopelessly entangled in this invisible web. Entirely convinced we have this conceptual heart and totally unaware that we're simply being bound and manipulated by an illusion. It's like we're prisoners who don't even realize we're sitting in a cell.
And man, what happens when you're trapped inside this array? You just get subjected to this exhausting list of emotional dualities. Because we buy into the illusion of the heart, we get completely played by its apparent whims. We oscillate wildly. Bouncing from total heartbreak to a heart that's blossoming. We swing from a heart in massive turmoil to finding a calm heart. From being bewildered to suddenly clear-minded. The text just perfectly captures this human experience. It's the state of constant, relentless physical and mental exhaustion, all driven by this desperate search for sincerity while constantly guarding against being deceived.
Which, honestly, brilliantly explains why romantic relationships so often bring us unbearable heartache. We walk right into the romantic trap. Guided by this totally illusory heart, our absolute biggest fear becomes fickleness in our partner, right? And our ultimate, basically impossible pursuit is finding a complete heart. The text points out that the very second we perceive fickleness, what happens? We lose our appetite, we lose our sleep, jealousy, resentment, anger, competition, they all come swarming in. We whip our own lives into this massive whirlwind of chaos and conflict, and we do it all on behalf of an entity that isn't even real.
And guess what? This illusion even infects our spiritual practices. When we try to fix our inner lives, relying on the mind or the heart just proves completely futile. Think about it. Ordinary people often act as passive victims, right? Their minds are constantly being jerked around by changing external circumstances. Meanwhile, so-called enlightened beings try to do the exact opposite. They attempt to use the mind to influence and control those circumstances. But the text argues that even this approach is passive and totally inconclusive. Why? Well, because circumstances are endlessly changing and the heart itself is inherently empty. You just can't rely on something that doesn't exist to try and control a chaotic world.
To really expose this grand illusion, the text turns to the authentic wisdom of Buddha Shakyamuni, who famously said, "The past mind cannot be grasped, the present mind cannot be grasped, and the future mind cannot be grasped." And this is just such a powerful logical deconstruction. Think about it. If you try to locate your mind in the past, it's already gone. If you look for it in the future, well, it isn't there yet. And the present mind? It's so fleeting you literally cannot hold on to it. The Buddha is basically proving that the mind, or this conceptual heart we keep talking about, is fundamentally non-existent in any time frame.
And hey, it's not just the Buddha. The text also brings in the wisdom of the Saint Laozi to really hammer this truth home. Laozi explains, "What makes me liable to great calamity is my having the body. If I had not the body, what great calamity could come to me?" And the explainer takes this brilliant piece of logic and extends it directly to the heart. Heartbreak and heartache? They only happen because we stubbornly insist that we have a heart to break. If we just acknowledge that we have no conceptual heart, where on earth could the heartache possibly come from? It completely loses its anchor.
Therefore, the ultimate solution offered here is, frankly, pretty radical. To escape this 8-trigram array, you literally have to discard the heart entirely. The Buddha taught that one should produce a mind that abides nowhere. It shouldn't attach itself to forms, to sounds, to smells, or to any physical senses. Essentially, you have to become a person who operates totally without that conceptual heart. I know, it sounds extreme, but by dropping the illusion, you instantly drop all the heavy baggage that comes with it.
Now, I know exactly what you're thinking right now because it raises an immediate, super practical objection. Can a person still actually live without a heart? It sounds like some metaphor for becoming this cold, unfeeling stone, right? Or worse, that dropping our core essence means we just cease to exist. How do we literally and figuratively survive if we completely abandon this central part of our identity? Well, the text answers this survival question with a really startling story from the classic Chinese epic, The Investiture of the Gods. It tells the tale of Prime Minister Bi Gan. Now get this, Bi Gan actually loses his physical heart, but he continues living perfectly well. No problem at all. That is, until he encounters Sudaji, who casually remarks that while cabbages can live without a heart, people without a heart must die, and upon hearing this, Bi Gan believes it. In an instant, his mental fortitude just plummets, and he dies immediately from the shock.
So, Bi Gan was doing absolutely fine without a physical heart right up until he let his mind be poisoned by an illusion. And this brings us to a massively important concept from the text, thinking power. According to Shuifeng, thinking power is the actual true mechanism of life. It's not the heart that sustains us at all. If our thinking power is high and clear, we live, we thrive. But if our thinking power is low, if we allow ourselves to be heavily influenced and controlled by illusions, like the fatal belief that we simply must have a heart to survive, that is when we perish. It's our mental fortitude and our awareness that actually sustain our existence. So practically speaking, how exactly does one navigate the world and live without a heart? The text gives us this beautifully uplifting answer. By living out one's nature. You rely entirely on your pure thinking power to just exist as your fundamental, unburdened self. The text equates this pure nature to the Buddha. The Buddha is the nature, and the nature is the Buddha. When you discard that illusory heart array, you aren't left feeling empty. You're actually left as a celestial being. You get to live out a pure existence that is completely free from those chaotic, pendulum-swinging emotions of ordinary life. By finally discarding the illusion of the conceptual heart, you can escape all those exhausting, dramatic joys and sorrows of human life. It allows you to enter what the text calls a beautiful and boundless paradise. Which really leaves us with one final, deeply provocative question to ponder today. Are you ready to escape the array? Seriously, the next time you feel a really deep, painful heartache, I want you to just pause, take a step back, and ask yourself, is the thing that's breaking right now even real at all?